Okay.
Now I'm gonna,
Message is,
Okay,
yeah, the message is unanimous that somebody stopped the video.
yeah, so, okay, Deputy City Clerk, it's 6 o'clock. Let's get this this going. There's 3 commissioners. Okay,
Like
I want
roll call?
to, I want to welcome everybody to the regular Planning Commission meeting of San Juan Bautista. It's Thursday, March 1st, 2001. Let me read this. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code 545953, parentheses E, parentheses 1, parentheses A dash, in order to minimize the spread of COVID-19 virus. The Planning Commission is conducting this meeting by Zoom webinar and will be offering alternative options for the public participation. You are encouraged to watch this meeting live on Zoom or Facebook. Okay, now you may take roll call.
Right, Luis Matshane. I don't see him there right yet. And Yolanda Delgado,
Present.
David Maderas,
Here.
Jackie Morris Lopez. Unmute yourself, Jackie. Thank you.
Present.
And Dr. Mary Baines.
Present.
Oh, and I see Luis is coming on board now. Still connecting. Luis, we're calling roll call. You're present?
yes, present.
Thank you.
Hello, Trish.
We have a quorum.
Okay,
Do I, just a question, do I need to activate live on Facebook?
I don't know. I am,
Yeah, if you can, we usually do try to run it on Facebook.
Okay, so live on Facebook, right? Not YouTube.
no, yes.
Just
yes.
do Facebook.
Okay. Let's go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Baines, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm trying to, you cannot start your video because the host has to disable it.
Yeah, that we've already asked that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So I just go ahead and lead you all into the Pledge of the Allegiance. So
Yes,
would you all
please.
stand, please? I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
To
to the flag
of the United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
for
and
which
for
it
which it
stands,
one nation, under God,
under God, indivisible, with
and
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Baines.
You're welcome.
2, this is public comments on the item on the agenda, but with the subject matter or jurisdiction of the Planning Committee. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the commission on the matters that are not on this agenda. The law does not permit the commission actions or extend discussion on any of the items not on the agenda except under special circumstance. If the commission actions is requested, then the commissions may place the matter on a future agenda. Deputy City Clerk, is there any, and please let's keep us to 3 minutes. Is there any public comments?
No, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. Now we're going to number 3, the consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion authorizing actions indicating for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of the item unless requested by a member of the Planning Commission, staff, or citizen. Consent items: A, approve affidavit of the posting of the agenda. B, approve the minutes from February 1st, regular Planning Commission. Does anybody want to pull that? Anything from those? Any commissioners, any deputies, city clerk, is there any public?
No public.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I'm sorry, right now I have Dr. Mary Baines has her hand raised.
I have
Okay.
my hand raised. I'd like to approve a motion to approve. And also I'd like to make a comment that I have a patient at exactly 7 o'clock, so I will have to get off at 5 minutes to 7. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Second,
Commissioner,
Second by David.
okay,
yeah, second it. I think there was a motion and I second it.
okay. Could you take a roll call, please, Deputy City
It's,
Clerk?
Commissioner Baines,
Aye.
Commissioner Matt Shane,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
Aye.
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Delgado.
Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion as stated by the maker passes unanimously. Thank
Okay.
you.
Item number 4, informal projects. And at this present time, there isn't any, correct, Brian?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to action item 5A. Do you want to give a report on this first, or?
Yes, I do. And then, and then following my presentation, the applicant is here. I know Catherine Zavala is here. I don't see Luis Vargas, although I think he intends to join us. So I just sent him an email telling him that the meeting has started. So hopefully he'll join us. In any case, I'm going to share my screen here, and okay, so if everyone can see this.
I can't see anything.
Oh,
It just says Brian Fox has started the screen sharing.
yeah, just a minute here. Now I'm frozen, just a minute. Can you see this now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right, good. So here we are. This public hearing is to consider a use permit for the on-site sale of alcohol. This particular use permit does not affect the operation of the restaurant at all. It's simply because the restaurant is a permitted use. And so this particular application is just simply to consider the on-site sale of alcohol for this particular address. The JJ Burger use permit proposal is a restaurant with bar facility. Use permit is required for on-site sale of alcohol, beer, wine, and spirits. Currently, the applicant has a Type 41 premise, Type 41 permit at 100 the Alameda, and proposes to transfer that Type 41 permit to 205 the Alameda. And the circumstances under which a Type 41 permit can operate is that it's supposed to operate strictly with the restaurant for beer and wine. And eventually the applicant would like to acquire, although not immediately, a Type 47 new license for beer, wine, and spirits when available and subject to ABC approval. The premise-to-premise transfer also has to be authorized by the ABC because this is a new site. So just sort of looking at the floor plan, you can see here there is a small bar area of about 250 square feet, and it will have 10 seats. In this area, the dining area and the courtyard together will have about 42 seats. We'll have 42 seats together. And so you can see here that the bar area is about a quarter of the total use of the building on the ground floor. And so, you see here the kitchen area, the bar, and then the dining area and courtyard, all of which dining area and courtyard will be available for seating. And that's consistent with the mixed use district standards for public plazas. Here's the floor plan for the upstairs. You can see here what's above the small bar and the restaurant. These are units that will be directly above, and then you see below this area, the courtyard. So the ABC license types, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands that the Type 41 permit is a permit that strictly relates to restaurants, what they call eating establishments or eating places. And it authorizes the sale of beer and wine, must operate and maintain the licensed premise as a bona fide eating place, have kitchen facilities, and make substantial actual sales of meals for consumption on the premises. And because it's a restaurant, minors are allowed. In addition, the Type 47 permit is also classified as a restaurant by the ABC, and it authorized the sale of beer, wine, and distilled spirits on the licensed premises. And so that particular bar area will be the place where both beer and wine are available, and also distilled spirits will be available with a proposed Type 47 permit. So our use permit doesn't distinguish between a use permit for beer and wine and a use permit for distilled spirits. And actually the ABC, the difference between these two is just simply the addition of distilled spirits. The rest of the provisions in the ABC licensing parameters are exactly the same for these two uses. And I'd like the commission to understand that what is not proposed here is a bar or a nightclub. This Type 48 permit is distinguished from Type 41 because it authorizes the on-site or the on-sale of beer and wine for consumption on the premises, and also authorizes the sale of beer and wine for consumption off the premises where sold. Minors are not allowed to enter and remain, and food service is not required. And so Type 48 is a bar, but I think in the meaning of the zoning ordinance with respect to bars. And I talked to, initially, we talked to David Mack about this, and together decided that because there is a bar facility, we may as well require a use permit for this particular aspect, although the overall use is for a restaurant. Finally, the ABC license process, sort of the basics, we have to, the applicant has to obtain local agency approval, in this case, a use permit. And we'll apply initially for a premise-to-premise transfer of Type 41 permit, and eventually a new Type 47 license when that's available, because right now the state has its quota limits for Type 47 licenses has been met, and so those are available only when they become available on the market. The ABC will require the applicants to distribute, post, and publish notices in the manner required by the ABC. And those posted notices and those posted notices and the published notices and distributed notices have to be available for 30 days prior to the use. The ABC considers and investigates the validity of any protest. However, just simply protesting because you don't like alcohol use is not something the ABC considers to be an appropriate protest. The ABC can approve or deny transfer and license. And afterwards, the ABC carries out business inspections through its impact program, which is a community-oriented policing approach to deterring crime related to alcohol use and licensing. And so in considering the licenses, the ABC will look at whether this particular use will interfere with the appropriate adjacent uses in any way or affect morals of the community and so forth. So those are circumstances that the ABC will consider as it evaluates any protest that it receives. In this particular case, the applicant's proposing to limit hours of operation of the bar from 4 o'clock to 9:30. You'll notice that the 4 p.m. start time for the bar area is after school. People are concerned about students being in the area where this restaurant is being operated. Also, outdoor activities on the site are prohibited except in the courtyard area. And this underlying portion is what I'd like to add to the condition of approval in your staff report. That outdoor courtyard area is enclosed, but it's consistent with the design standards in the MU district for public plazas, because it's got a direct connection with the sidewalk, and it's designed to be approachable and accessible from the sidewalk, and it's an area that will be maintained by the applicant. Our recommended conditions require live music after 9 p.m. be prohibited, and amplified music also be prohibited. What we didn't say is that live music before 9 p.m. should only be allowed indoors, and I think we should add that to the condition of approval. Noise, the other thing is that I think because of the adjacent residential uses, we need a noise attenuating fence or wall along the west and south property boundaries. And a noise attenuating fence is one that where the base of the fence extends 6 to 8 inches below grade. It also has no openings. And so you'll see a fence, but you'll also see those slats that cover up any openings. And that's an effective noise attenuation. Because we want to be sure that pre and post project noise that post-project noise doesn't exceed pre-project noise, we're going to require monitoring within the first month or so of operation, just to be sure that that's the case. And that'll be a day-night average. And there's a process for that that's well established in the noise engineering field. And then we're asking for non-glare windows to face the residential uses. Some of these conditions are more appropriate for site and development plan review, fencing and non-glare windows, but I think they're appropriate for this particular use permit as well. The restaurant, as I said before, is a permitted use and it's not subject to limitation on hours of operation or other conditions of approval. It is the use permit related to alcohol sales, that on-site alcohol sale and consumption that we are regulating here with this use permit. And so the commission sometimes, the two are blended because this is a restaurant use with a bar facility. Although minor in nature, it still requires this use permit. And so it's a little bit difficult to split the two. And as you read in the staff report, we're suggesting that you cannot separate the bar use from the restaurant use and vice versa, strictly because the way the ABC regulates these licenses, the restaurant is considered the principal use. So that concludes the staff report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I failed to read the action motion before us. And let me read that and listen carefully, planning commissioners, to what the resolution is. Action item 5A, adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of San Juan Bautista approving conditional use to an establishment of a bar at 2 the Alameda corner of the Alameda Street, APN 00-460-00 and 002-460 -002. The project determines to be exempt from CEQA per 15303 and 1505, the California Environmental Quality Act. The applicants are Jesus and Catherine Zavala. Understand what I read. This is us approving a bar.
Yes, let me correct.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on. I'm not correcting, I'm reading from what you sent me. So hold on, Brian. With that, is there any public comments?
Oh,
Deputy, hold on,
if you
Brian.
will, the applicant's representative is here.
No, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm reading what it's in front of me. And this is what we're going to vote on, not a restaurant, a bar. And I would like the public to make any comments. Deputy City Clerk, is there any public comment on this?
No, there are no public comments.
Okay, Commissioner Baines, do you have a comment, question, or concerns about what we're approving?
I just wanted some clarification on the operating hours, due to the fact that the kids are in a close proximity of JJ's. The operating hours for the serving of the alcohol. I just needed clarification on that area.
Could you clarify on the hours, Brian? Because
Yes, I'd like to clarify a couple of things, actually. First of all, if you look at your resolution that's proposed.
yeah, and read the first.
I'd like to finish, if you will, clarifying the application that's in front of you. The staff report is references a two-part recommended action to, yes, approve a bar on the ground floor. And by the way, it's the staff report dated March 1st, not March 3rd. And then to approve a use permit to allow on-site sale and consumption of alcoholic beverages subject to conditions and based on findings. And so you can't separate the conditions and the findings from the action. The second thing I'd like to reference here is that the resolution of the Planning Commission proposed in the resolution attached to the staff report references the establishment of a restaurant with bar on the main floor and related on-site alcohol sales consumption for the property located at 205.
Could you turn, could you turn, Brian? The resolution that we have, it says, whereas on April 8th, 2021, Jesus Zavala, Catherine Zavala applicant applied for a combined development permit to develop a mixed-use establishment of a bar.
Yes.
It does not say restaurant.
Yes, and that is why it's important to clarify this particular use permit. It is to, you cannot buy operation of the ABC.
Yes, you can, because I called APC. I'm not going to argue with you because I had a discussion with you. Okay, Mr. McChain, Commissioner McChain, do you have any questions or concerns? Luis?
About bar and restaurant with bar service.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
I can't hear him.
Go ahead, Luis.
Hello?
Hear me? Hold on.
Very faint, Luis.
Okay,
Can I just say that as a point of clarification, that it is not fair to the applicant to misrepresent the nature of this application.
Well,
If you read the action of the Planning Commission, it says, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approves a use permit to allow the establishment of a restaurant with bar and related on-site sales consumption at 205 The Alameda. And all of your findings and evidence and your proposed resolution and the action that's recommended by staff and in your resolution in the final paragraph clearly states, and the staff report that I just presented clearly states that this is a restaurant with bar subject to type 41 license by the ABC, which the ABC classifies as a restaurant. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands that this is not a bar within the meaning of type 48, which is where people under 21 are not allowed. And
Well-
food service is not required. This is a use for restaurant with a bar, food service is required. And the majority of the use has to be a bona fide eating establishment. So that is the nature of this application.
I,
I
Brian,
think that was a well, if I could just say quickly, because I do have to leave at 6:30, so I appreciate the planning commission allowing me to attend this evening. For those that don't know, my name is Robert Rathie, and I was appointed by the city council on February 15th to succeed Deborah Mall as the city attorney. And I'm with the office that has been representing the city since 2006. So I just wanted to say that this evening and allow you to get on with your discussion. Thank you very much for your hospitality, and I'll be leaving somewhere around 6:30.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Luis, are you able to speak now, Commissioner Mache?
You're muted, Luis. There
Yes,
you go.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. About my concern, I think it's the same about the difference between a restaurant with the service of bar and, just bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says bar, and I have a problem.
Yes.
Well, when it's my turn, I'll talk about it. Is that all you have to say, Luis? Please
Yes,
repeat yourself?
Basically, it's that, because if we say we are approving a bar,
Yeah.
I think we are really close from a school, and I think it's a problem.
Yes,
That is not correct. The resolution clearly states that you are approving a type 41 or a.
no,
type
if,
47. Oh, and it's in the staff report, it is in the resolution that you are approving a restaurant with bar, period.
It not says bar?
yes,
You are
says-
approving a restaurant use that has a bar affiliated with it. You are not approving a bar. You are approving a type 41 or a type 47 restaurant with bar, bona fide eating establishment that has a bar area inside.
So am I hearing this correct? You're saying that the approval is not for a bar in general,
Yes,
but a bar inclusive of a restaurant.
No.
And the major point of the resolution is to approve a restaurant that
Correct.
will have a bar in it.
that is correct. Many places that you visit, restaurants,
Yes.
many kinds of restaurants have a small bar that is
Yes.
right off the entrance when you go inside usually.
Yes.
But the principal use is a restaurant, and that
Yes.
is what
So-
is being proposed here.
okay,
So maybe the right term for this is the restaurant with permit of to sell spirits.
Yeah.
no, not spirits. See, they have to apply for
A
47.
different
And
license.
that's a different slices. Right now, it's
Yeah.
just beer and wine. And I cannot approve a 47, so I don't think we should even include that in this amendment, but I'll talk about that when it's my turn.
I think, for example, Jardins or Doña
Yes.
Esther's, they are
Mhm.
restaurants that have the right to sell spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have a 47, and it's hard to get a 47, Luis.
But currently, what the applicant is proposing to do is to transfer the type 41 permit from 100 the Alameda to 205 the Alameda. It's a premise-to-premise transfer, as stated in your staff report, for a restaurant use with on-site beer and wine. The only difference between a type 41 and a type 47 permit is that the applicant with the type 47 permit would be able to provide or allow mixed drinks, for example. And in addition to beer and wine, the same limitations apply otherwise.
Okay, okay, Commissioner Maderos, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns on this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm perfectly understand what the issue is right now and what's being proposed as far as the resolution is. I'm waiting to hear from the public if we have to, and waiting to hear from the other commissioners.
There's no
If they
public
have any
comment.
input, concerns, or questions. But I understand clearly that what was written, you can go through the whole resolution if you want to read it word by word. But it's clear to me that it's presented clearly as to what it's a restaurant with a bar, and that's what we're trying to approve, and that's it.
Okay.
I understand there might be some other information that this commission may possess, but I'm waiting to hear what that is. And I'm also waiting to hear from the public before I make any decision. Thank you.
I noticed the applicant is also here at this point.
Yeah, there's two more commissioners and there's no public comment. Commissioner Morris Lopez, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, this is Vice Chair, Planning Commissioner Morris Lopez. Thank you, Chair Delgado. For me, I agree with what you're saying. If we are asked to vote on this resolution tonight, which city manager is assuming that we will vote for this, I hold my reservations that we need clarity. Yes, I understand, but it's not what's written in black and white.
Exactly.
And so there's intention and there's an actual factual resolution that must be considered. And I don't see that currently. I have issues also with statements, broad statements that are included in the resolution that we as a planning commission voted, that we agreed with the findings to make to a categorical exemption under the CEQA guidelines for this project. Because what we have here is we have tonight a resolution to address and approve a conditional use permit to carry a wine and beer license from one address to another. Okay, I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse because we actually don't have a brick and mortar at the new address. So that causes me some concern and some pause. So, you know, we don't have a real place yet, and we're talking about giving a permission to a owner that actually has a brick and mortar. And we're talking about a building that's there that we are under the assumption that we as a group of commissioners agreed to let this go with that to an exemption with CEQA. And I don't agree with that. And I don't recall that meeting. I don't know if any of you other commissioners, I'm asking you to rack your brains and remember, did we take a vote on this that we were going to give this project a pass? Because it's a very multifaceted project. Number one, we went through the long, arduous meeting of public testimony of expert historic resource society people that gave us wonderful reports. Then we had outside peer review that told us that that little warehouse, no matter how unsightly it is, that it did not have any historic significance to our community. And we all know sitting here and those listening that that's not true. So for me as a commissioner to sit here and fast forward to let's go ahead and let's approve this conditional use permit for a bar in a restaurant, there's a whole lot of questions I have, and I'm not satisfied that we're at a point where we should consider this to vote on tonight. I don't recall sitting as a group and saying, let's let this project go exempt. I have a lot of questions about that. There's a lot of verbiage in this resolution that took the liberty to put my words into this report that I agreed to certain conditions and I did not. And I don't know if the rest of you did. Thank you.
I would just simply like to correct the record or make sure the record is clearly understood that the resolution before you this evening and in many places in the staff report and in the resolution, we state clearly that the Planning Commission is considering a restaurant with bar. That's clearly stated in the staff report and in the resolution.
You are also.
We can check our minutes and find that information.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, hold on, time out, hold on.
Okay.
Okay, Trish, can you check the minutes where we approved that it was not CEQA? Deputy,
As Dr. Bain says, the minutes were in your packet. You have them in front of you if you got your packet.
yeah,
Read.
I did, but there's a lot of different verbiage and I want one verbiage, not different, like restaurant, bar, approve a bar. I will not approve a bar because we don't have that authority to approve a bar. And that's in our resolution, if you were to read it as
But
well.
it's not asking you to approve a bar.
Yes, it
They're
is.
asking you to approve a restaurant that contains a bar in it. That's a different type of
Correct.
approval.
Do you,
That is-
hold on, Jackie. Commissioner Baines, could you read the resolution where it says, whereas on April 21st, and nowhere in that first paragraph does it say restaurant, it says bar, and I want words changed.
That
I-
could be an omission. That could be an innocent
Exactly.
omission. But that doesn't mean that you have to stop approving a resolution. You can approve a resolution with an addendum.
Exactly, and I know that, and I know that, but I haven't spoken yet, Commissioner Baines. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Everybody has and I haven't, and that's
Oh.
why I'm going last, because I want to ask.
Pardon me.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Luis Vargas,
Chair,
wait a minute, Jackie, who's Luis Vargas?
Luis Vargas is the applicant's representative.
Okay, let Jackie speak and then Luis Vargas. Go ahead, Jackie, Commissioner Lopez.
yes, this is Vice Chair Commissioner Morris Lopez. I just want to say that this is getting out of hand. I don't appreciate that we are not following Robert's Rules of Orders. Commissioners are speaking over each other. This makes it very detrimental to run a meeting properly for the public and to come to any conclusion. I stated what I had to say. I didn't know that it was going to be an open discussion and that the staff would have a comment, so I'm going to have a comment back. And I think that this proves tonight that there's still a lot of uncertainties and a lot of discussion that needs to happen. There's many facets to this development, and it was a very hard fought, discussed item. It was a very contentious item that we are signing off that this does not have any historic significance, and therefore it's going to be demolished by neglect by the property owner.
Okay, thank you.
I just feel like
Okay, Luis Vargas, please speak.
Thank you, commissioners, and thank
Sure.
you for letting me speak.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chair and commission, yeah. So I apologize, for the misunderstandings I think that are going on. And I want to speak on behalf of our client. There's some mix-ups for one in bringing one item towards another. The application is for a restaurant, mixed-use building that includes a restaurant on the first floor.
Okay.
Brian shared the floor plan of the first floor, which contains about close to 500 square feet of dining area for a restaurant, and then a kitchen to serve the restaurant, a courtyard that seats 16 or so, about 330 square feet. There is an adjoining bar area that has 10 seats in it, 250 square feet. The project itself is not a bar. And I feel that
Thank
our
you.
client is being misserved by the mentioning that this is just a bar. It is
Correct.
not. It is a restaurant with a bar in it
Yes.
and living quarters on the second floor.
Okay.
ABC licensing would allow for the applicant to apply to move their current license, which is an ABC 41, to the new location. They would in the future need to apply for a 47, which is a difficult process, as you mentioned, Commission, and this would take some time. So this is not something that would occur, and
Okay.
it is, as you mentioned, it is not something that you would approve as the city. It would be the state ABC licensing.
Okay. And-
The restaurant itself and the mixed-use building with the bar in it is in your control, and it is in your
Yes.
purview and your jurisdiction to approve for conditional use permit. And this is why we're here, is for the conditional use permit.
Yep.
The historical was already reviewed and argued a month ago. And that was already.
Well, it was
found
discussed.
with the
It was,
resolution.
let's do discuss and yes.
Discussed. And there was a vote and we moved forward.
Yes, but
This item was moved to continue because the question regarding the licensing for the bar.
okay, wait,
We are
but
here now
wait,
presenting that information and trying to get that straightened out to make sure that everybody knows what the intent is. here.
exactly. But Mr. Vargas,
Yes,
Commissioner Morris Lopez was saying about CEQA, we never, and it's written incorrectly, we never approved that this is an exempt from CEQA. I believe your report said that. And the verbiage from the planning commissioner who has that, the verbiage states that we approved that it was not CEQA, and that's her questions.
Okay, I'd like to answer that question just from a technical standpoint and from the standpoint of CEQA. You know, we did an evaluation of the historical context. Otherwise, the building, the proposed site and design review application would have been exempt otherwise under CEQA. However, because there was an historical question regarding the historical significance of the building, we did conduct an evaluation, or we asked the applicants to conduct an application. They did it the first time around, and it was deemed to be missing some things. And then they did it a second time around, and we subjected that also to peer review.
Yeah,
And then as a result, those evaluations by qualified architectural historians determined that the building was not historically significant. And so on that basis, given that there was no other requirement for a mitigated negative declaration or negative declaration or any kind of EIR or CEQA documentation other than that, when those reports, determined that the historic resource was not, that the building was not a significant historic resource, then it became qualified for an exemption. And that's according to state CEQA guidelines, straight down the line. So, you know, what we did was we followed the guidelines as we're required to do by law.
yes,
And the determination required by law resulted in that particular status. And so when you adopted your resolution approving the site and design review permit, you approved the construction of a building and affirmed that the demolition in response to a recommendation by the HRB, you affirmed that that particular existing building is not a historical resource and its demolition not subject to CEQA. And that is the finding that you made in the resolution that you adopted at the last Planning Commission meeting. And
Okay.
so what this resolution simply does today is it just simply goes over that history.
yes,
And in this particular use permit, there is no CEQA trigger with respect to this use permit.
okay,
And so, you know, the question for the commission this evening is whether the conditions of approval that we're recommending adequately protect the public health, safety, and general welfare. Those are the findings that the commission is being asked to make
okay,
on alcohol sales. And you know, there is a bar component of the restaurant, and so that's also included in the use permit.
okay, thank
I
you,
hope
Brian.
So I hope that clarifies things.
And that's all we were asking. We weren't wanting to say if you read, because that's historical list, we don't need to be there. Okay, now my concerns.
Chair,
Oh, yes,
I have to respond to staff person Brian, please.
okay,
Because
this is the last one. No more. After that, I would like to speak, okay?
this is the last one because it's very pertinent as to what he said about the CEQA exemption when it.
I will have to comment also because I have to go and I'd like to comment and go.
Well, I'm sorry, but I indicated that I would speak first. And so in
Okay,
relationship to the CEQA exemption, Brian or staff lists specifically in accordance to section 15303, That does not talk about demolition. What he's talking about, what that section is talking about, and what the staff is recommending or determining that this project or this development is exempt under this section. And this section does not talk about demolition. It talks about new construction or conversion of small structures. So we need to be forthright and very clear, because you list section exemption to 15303 and 15305, which do not address demolition. That is a separate thing. And that is my point being, is that we have a lot of differing and a lot of information. Yes, it's a lot. Yes, move forward past the historical decision. That was one of my soapboxes. Okay, I'm willing to accept that. But now we have a very, very important resolution before us tonight. And you have listed 15303 and 15305, which you have not explained to the staff, to the commissioners tonight, or the public that is in attendance, because it does not have to do with demolition. It has to do with the new construction of this project. And I feel that we have to be on the same page. We have to be clear about our understanding of what this entails. And so there's items A through F in section 15303. So my question to staff, and that would be Brian tonight, what of those items are you exempting this project by? There's different items here. We need clarity on that before we can consider this. There's a separate issue of the conditional use permit of a bar within a restaurant. I understand that. But then you've also attached to this resolution exemption under CEQA section 15303 and 15305, which are not demolition. Thank you.
Yep, that's correct. And I can
Madam
answer
Chair,
those
Madam
questions
Chair.
at the pleasure of the chair.
Madam Chair, I have to exit, and I would like to, for the record, that if you all are going to make a motion to pass this resolution tonight with any addendum, that my vote is yes on passing that before I go.
I think you can vote if you're not present. You're leaving the meeting early. This is the vice chair. I think we need to look into that. Thank you.
Madam Chair, did you hear my comment? Hello?
Yolanda,
we
you're.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I personally don't know if you can do that. I'll have to ask our deputy clerk if you can do that before you leave.
Is our attorney present, our city
He-
attorney present?
He left at 6:30.
Okay.
All right.
For the
So-
record, I would like to restate that if a motion is made to pass this resolution, my vote in absenteeism is yes.
Okay.
We
Thank
have,
you.
we
Thank
have to
you.
look into the validity of that, Chair. I think we need to really look into that before you accept that request. This is the vice-
And I said that, Vice Chair. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Baines.
Chair Delgado, can I
ahead.
address Jackie Morris Lopez's question about CEQA?
Yes.
First of all, there are categorical exemptions in the guidelines that we reference. And 15301 references, it's a class 1, and new construction of small structures, 15303 is referenced. And 15303 allows an exemption for projects of this size and where it's located. However, understanding the guidelines is very important in how they work, because there are exemptions that apply to the construction of this project, notwithstanding the potential for historic resources. But there's also an exception to those categorical exemptions that states that a categorical exemption shall not be used for a project which may cause a substantial adverse change in the significance of a historic resource. And so it was our obligation to make sure that we conducted a thorough evaluation of the significance of the structure there as required by our own ordinance and as required by CEQA. So we did require an evaluation, and the applicant, as I said before, spent thousands of dollars completing one, and we spent more money subjecting that report to peer review. And the results were consistently that that building is not a historical resource, and that leaves open the use of the categorical exemption that we reference for these small structures that is in the guidelines. And so, you know, I think that should help everyone understand that, you know, we are looking at the state law, we're looking at the guidelines, we're looking at our own ordinance, and we're doing what we need to do to determine whether or not this project has any significant environmental effects. And the result was there are none, because we conducted a thorough evaluation, and you can remember the last staff report that you received was very thorough with respect to its consistency with the zoning ordinance,
Yes.
its consistency with the general plan, its consistency with the parking
Yes.
ordinance that we have, and also its consistency with the procedures and standards in the historic preservation ordinance. And so every time we looked at an avenue where we could critically evaluate this project, we did that. And this project was subject to redesign during staff review, and it's going to be subject to redesign by conditions of approval that the commission placed on it during the last hearing with respect to its appearance, and some other things. And this is the second time we have an opportunity to look at how this project will operate with respect to its use, not with respect to its development. And with respect to its use, we're not finding any significant environmental impacts that are extraordinary that can't be accommodated by a set of conditions of approval related to the location with respect to surrounding land uses and reliance on the ABC process to cover those things that are related to alcohol use in particular. And so we're dealing with environmental potential consequences of this particular use on adjacent and surrounding land uses, on people who live and work in the area, and the conditions that we're proposing address those particular aspects of this use that could, if we don't apply these conditions, could affect those, the integrity of those uses. So we're pretty confident that those conditions will address those adverse effects. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Now, I'd like to ask some questions. I would like to know the difference between a bar and a restaurant. One,
Okay,
is Daisy's a bar or is it a restaurant?
let me put that up again.
No.
if you
No.
will.
I'm just asking you. Is
Oh.
Daisy's a bar or a restaurant?
Daisies is as I understand it, Daisies does not allow people who are under 21,
Okay,
and it's a bar.
okay. Hardina's is a restaurant, correct?
That's correct.
Applebee's is a restaurant, correct?
I'm not sure about the Applebee's.
Okay, let's just say
license
JJ.
type. But
let J-
generally, if a place is a bona fide eating place, it's a restaurant, and it has a bar, yes, it's a
But yes,
type
so-
41 or type 47.
Okay, so,
Restaurant.
okay, with the with the resolution, I want to remove bar completely and put restaurant. Because he has the permission to sell liquor as a 41. I want verbiage to be correct. So I want that. I don't know if he applied for a bar. If he did, if he only applied for a bar, then why are we here? What did
Okay.
he apply for?
Yes. So our ordinance in the list of land uses requiring a conditional use permit, and I have a little bit of the same issue with the way that the application was submitted before I came on, but nonetheless, I see why, because alcohol on-site sale of alcohol is a conditional use in this.
Yes.
district. However, it doesn't, that particular use doesn't reference bar, but there is a completely separate use called bar, which is also a conditional use. And so I see where you're headed here. If we're going to allow on-site sale of alcohol without reference to a bar, then I think that the applicant might be confused about whether or not he has approval to
Exactly.
put a bar component in his restaurant, much the same as Hardina's does.
Exactly.
So I think for the sake of clarity, for the applicant's benefit and for the city's benefit, we should be clear that this particular use is for on-site alcohol sales, and there is a bar component. And so that triggers that particular aspect of the use permit.
Exactly. I want that removed. I want that as a restaurant, because he has a 41 now and he's a restaurant. He's not a restaurant with a bar. He's just a restaurant. Correct?
That's correct.
That's what I want. He sells beer. He has a 41, correct? And he sells beer. And does he have restaurant bar? No. And the 47 is putting the cart before the horse, like Commissioner Morris Lopez says. I don't want to even ascertain that, because we cannot even approve it, because as you know, as we spoke, it is in a lottery. They're not giving out the 47s as freely. I spoke to the ABC commissioner in Salinas for an hour and a half, and I asked her all these questions because I wanted to know clarity. And she's the one that told me he needs to say it's a restaurant, like Applebee's, Doña Stairs, Hardina's, as I spoke to you about it. So I'm not even going to ascertain that 47 in this resolution. And wait a minute.
Yeah, just to clarify, the applicant wants to, in the very beginning, have a bar component that serves beer and wine. And that's type 41.
Yeah, you don't have to say if it's a bar, if it's a 41. If you use
Yeah, that's the applicant's proposal, is to have a bar component.
But what he has right now is a 41. I can't give him a 47. And as Luis said, ABC, they're limited. So he's not guaranteed a 47. So right now he has a 41.
Right.
Correct? And
Correct.
also I asked the ABC license, because she looked up Mr. Zavala, he has a 41, and he said, and if he wants to get a 41 on a new address, he has to apply for a new license. We can't transfer the 41 to the new property. The 41 stays with the property, the address of the property. Mr. Zavala and Ms. Zavala could sell that 41 to the new owners, but he cannot transfer that 41. So he has to apply for a new 41, because I spoke to the ABC agent and asked her this.
Yeah.
And as I told you, that he should go to talk to ABC and find out what he needs to do. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, and we did talk to the ABC, and we did research, and in your staff report, I mentioned that the applicant will seek a premise-to-premise transfer for the type 41 permit. So yes, a premise-to-premise transfer can be accommodated by the ABC.
If we approve it.
They'll conduct an evaluation, and it really is irrelevant what the seating arrangement is. If you want to say, for example, you have an area in this restaurant.
You don't have to say bar.
Where the seating is a little different. There is a piece of furniture, there's some seats around it, and there's a separate area where people can buy the beer and wine. And if they ever do get a type 47 permit, whenever that is, then they would be able to sell distilled spirits there. But you know, the thing is that if they get a type 47 permit and you just simply don't call it a bar, you just call it an alternative seating arrangement, what's the difference? I just think that we're getting hung up on the type of floor plan that the applicant is proposing a little bit here.
Yeah, no,
And you know,
no,
really what's important here is that the type 41 permit can be transferred from premise to premise. And
Okay.
that's what the applicant's proposing.
well, I don't want to have bar in there because we're not approving a bar. We're approving a restaurant. So when the verbiage is changed, we could do that tonight. We could omit the bar and just put restaurant. Because I'm not going to approve this resolution. I will postpone it and move it to a next month's meeting.
Well,
And that's what I will do, because if you don't want to change it from restaurant, then we will have to postpone this and schedule it for the next meeting until we get all our ducks in the row. And that's what I'm proposing, because I do not want to put a bar in any resolution.
Chair,
Yes,
may I speak?
Yes.
It sounds to me, listening to what you're saying, I totally understand what you're saying. And it almost seems like perhaps with the initial applicant and application, even though Brian, staff representative, admits that he was not there at the time, it wasn't under his tenure. But this is an application in error.
yes,
I think they need to reapply.
yep. Because I'm not gonna approve a bar. I will approve a restaurant tonight.
I think they need to reapply. It's not stated correctly. And I think by making an amendment, we set a serious bad precedent. And whoever approved this permit, and now the intention that we're asked to vote on is a totally different intention. We understand what we're saying, but nonetheless, the application was an error.
Yes,
I have a recommendation, if that is going to be a motion, that you just simply act on this particular permit. And if you want to remove reference to the bar, use permit for the bar.
and 47.
Then the floor plan might not be changed, but the reference to a bar might be removed. The type 40, the alcohol, on-site alcohol consumption would remain. And then that's alternative A. And alternative B, if what Commissioner Morris Lopez is saying is a motion and it's adopted, then in that case, you would act on this use permit by denying it. And rather than tabling it or continuing it or just doing something else, because what you're saying is, if I read you correctly, Commissioner Morris Lopez, you're saying that you don't believe that this application is valid. And if that's the case, your alternative then would be to deny the application. So you have, those are your two choices.
Okay, and trust me, this is nothing personal against the Zavalas. I just want correct verbiage, the correct applications given to people that are applying. This is our deficiencies for Zavalas. I mean, they've gone through this for over a year.
Yeah, unfortunately, our zoning ordinance calls out a bar as a separate land use, and I'm not sure it's invalid. I think that what the people who accepted this application thought they were doing was simply responding to what is required in the zoning ordinance for use permits.
Yeah.
And that's all. If all we're talking about is renaming a label on the floor plan from bar to restaurant and providing an alternative seating arrangement, but leaving the on-site alcohol sales, I think that's up to the applicant to devise a floor plan that they think will work under those circumstances.
No, that's not what I'm asking.
No, that's what I'm not asking either. And I don't want them to reinvent the wheel. What I want is, what did their application say that they're applying for? And if they have a bar for an applicant, then this is not acceptable.
Yeah, so the application is for a restaurant and bar. That's the application.
Does it have restaurant on there?
Yeah, that's the nature of the application.
Okay.
It says restaurant.
Okay, so we're gonna, can we exclude bar and just leave it restaurant?
The commission can do whatever it.
Okay.
Yes.
I propose a resolution. This is Vice Chair Morris Lopez. I think the only thing foreseeable out of this quagmire of confusion and misunderstanding is I'm looking at the actual black and white print where it stated that the applicant submitted an application for a bar back in April of 2021. So my interpretation, because it's
Yeah,
black and white, is it is an error. And that opens up a whole other discussion about a bar being strictly in front of a school, in front of a nonprofit facility for youth, which is a soccer field, which we haven't even discussed. So whoever accepted this permit was an error. And as far as Brian's discussion, a side discussion or allusion or alluding to the fact that the zoning allows for a mixed use or bar, but we have to remember there is no bar in that area. There are restaurants that are a block and a half away. And you made it very clear to us commissioners by peer review at our last meeting that that was not in the historic district, which is our commercial downtown restaurant and bar district. This is on the outskirts of that. So there's a whole lot of discussion around this. And bottom line, this permit was not worded or not processed or not submitted in the proper form of what the intention is for us to vote on tonight.
yeah.
I move that we have a resolution that the applicants resubmit an application stating their intention
For a restaurant.
for a restaurant, correct?
Yeah, can I just simply ask that you have a conditional use permit application before you. It's been subject to lots of review, staff review, commission review, several occasions.
Yeah.
Going back several months. And the nature of the application has been well understood during this time. And I have to say, if you intend not to honor the validity of the application, then your motion should not be to simply require the applicant to reapply. You need to act on this particular application.
Okay,
And your two alternatives are, as you have both stated, either to, well, there are three alternatives, I suppose. Approve the resolution as recommended by staff for a restaurant with bar. Number two, to approve a restaurant use. And actually, if you're just going to approve a restaurant does not require a conditional use permit. The only thing that requires a use permit here is the on-site alcohol sales. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be approving a use permit for on-site alcohol sales, not approving a use permit for a bar component as part of the restaurant. So, and then the third alternative is to deny the use permits that are before you because you believe that the applications have no validity. So those are the three alternatives. I'll be happy to go over them one more time.
well, can
but
we
those
do,
are the
Brian,
three
Brian,
choices.
Brian, can we? I'm sorry to this Zabalas. I will approve a restaurant, but no liquor, 47.
Well,
No,
they're applying for they're applying to have on-site alcohol sales. That is the nature of the conditional use permit.
I understand that, but you have bar, use of a restaurant with a bar. I can handle that, but then you have alcohol via 41 and 47. I cannot approve of 47 as we discussed. So that's off the table. I can approve a restaurant with a 41. That's what, hold on, Jackie,
Sorry.
Commissioner Maderos, would you like to speak now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm thinking that, we're going through, a couple of people here on our commission have voiced their opinion and concerns and questions. And I'm sitting here listening to the two commissioners, which I'm happy to listen to, and I have been listening. You need to know that if we're going to go by the rules here, you need to know that you were supposed to open and close any item that needs to be done based on what's before you. And that's what I'm looking for. And I know you need the clarity, what have you. And I'm saying to myself, as a person, I haven't decided one way or the other. I'm still waiting to hear clarity so that we can go forward. And we haven't cleared the road to make a motion on anything. So, and the other thing too that I want to clarify is that we are speaking on behalf of the city of San Juan Bautista and the public that's in a key portion here. It was not opened, nor was it closed, the public portion of this before we make any motion on this particular item.
David,
So
it was.
Excuse me, let me speak, I'm saying there was no motion to open and close it as the chairperson, and you didn't close it. So if we're going to be clear, let's make sure the record is correct too as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, Deputy Clerk Trish, did I not ask if we had any public comments on action item 5A?
Yes, you did.
And I closed it, correct? Well,
Yes.
okay,
Not in
so,
those words, but yes.
but yes, I said, okay, let's have David. So
And then-
I did have the public
I
ask.
understand that, but there's been a lot of talk here, and you need to understand there are people out there listening to what's going on here. There might be people out there that still need to get in on this to understand, because we're talking about clarity here.
Yes,
It isn't
okay,
the clarity, it isn't the clarity of two people. It's the city as one voice going forward on making the correct decision. That's what I'm looking for, and I haven't heard that yet.
I know what, I'm gonna make a motion with David. And Trish, are there any hands up for the public? Let's open it up to the public for David because there's a lot of talking. Do we have any public comments?
No, I
Trish?
don't see any hands raised, Chairman.
Okay, so let's close this. With
I'm sorry, you muted yourself.
Okay, we're gonna make a motion. I'm gonna make a motion. I want the bar aspect on the application removed, and I would like just restaurant with a 41 and no 47, because that's two different subjects that I'm not gonna approve on hypothetically in the future that might do it. And then they'll say, well, the planning commission approved it. No, I'm not approving a 47. I will approve a restaurant with a 41. Any motions for that?
You need a
Any-
second for that? Is there a second?
A second.
Is there, Trish, could you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Baines is absent from what I can see. Commissioner Machine,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
No,
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Please repeat the resolution.
Okay, we're here in the planning commission and they applied for a bar. I can't approve a bar or 47. I'm not the ABC, so I'm not approving that. I'm changing the bar just to a restaurant with a 41.
So the use permit is just for on-site alcohol sales, limited to type 41 permit or license. That's the
No,
motion. That's the motion.
no,
And mine is a yes. So what is the quagmire? Who breaks the tie?
So David voted no, and Jackie voted no, and Luis voted
Yes.
yes.
So it's 2-2.
Yeah.
Motion dies.
Motion dies.
Right. Yes.
So then what happens now, Trish?
So there needs to be an alternate motion now so that we can have disposition on the use permit.
David, do you have a motion? Jackie? Commissioner Maderos, do you have another motion?
Yeah, I have a motion to approve the resolution as written. And as far as the clarity is concerned, I understand that we need to go forward with this. And there are a lot of talks. There isn't just going to go overnight. It's not going to happen. There's still a lot of clarity that needs to unfold after we approve this resolution as it is written right now. That I understand. And there's a lot more we can do about it from here on out after we approve this particular resolution as written. And if we did do that, the clarity is written in it. You just have to read it from top to bottom as you go all the way through it. And that's what we're making a motion on.
Okay.
Yay or nay, whatever that turns out to be.
Is there a second for that to leave as is?
No,
The question is whether there's a second.
Yeah, is there a second? There is not a second.
Commissioner McShane, you're muted, you know. Okay.
So the resolution dies. Trish, there's no second.
Correct, you're right. The motion dies.
The resolution dies.
Okay, is there an alternate motion?
I gave one. And
Well,
it was,
that's the second motion. The third alternative the third alternative was to deny the use permits.
we're just voting on the resolutions. We've gone two. Does anybody want to make a motion to deny the use permits?
I'll make a motion to currently deny the use permits at this time, with the caveat that perhaps a proper application by the applicants be submitted so that the city can expeditiously approve the proper application so that they can get on their business with developing in accordance to what the public wishes and supports.
So there's a motion on the floor to deny the use permits. Is there a second?
I guess that one dies as well.
So the commission must take some action on these permits. You know, it's a you know, you've got to take some action. There's been a motion to approve the resolution as stated, and that would allow a restaurant with bar and on-site alcohol sales. There was a motion to, and that did not succeed. There was a motion to approve the use permit for on-site alcohol sales with no type 47 permit allowed and elimination of reference to a bar. That motion failed. And then there was a motion to deny the use permits.
Okay.
And frankly, I don't see an alternative here other than those three alternatives because the restaurant itself doesn't require a use permit.
Okay.
And the only other alternative is to eliminate the on-site alcohol sales. That's a denial per Commissioner Morris Lopez's motion.
Okay.
And the only other alternative then is to just simply approve the on-site alcohol sales with no limitation. And that's an approval of what wasn't made, I suppose, is approval of on-site alcohol sales with the bar eliminated.
And that's what I had mentioned,
And no, but you referenced a limitation on
41.
type 47 permits. And so
No, I
the
said,
only other motion possible at this point is
I
to
said-
approve, excuse me, just let me finish, is to approve the use permit for on-site alcohol sales with type 41 or type 47 as the applicants can obtain, and eliminate the bar. So that is the only other alternative to the three motions that were made.
I said to leave the resolution exactly like that, but just put bar to restaurant and only have a 41. That was my motion to allow them.
So
Yes,
your motion
yes.
was to leave the bar in.
Not the bar. Let's get away from the bar. So restaurant with the 41. That was I said, leave the resolution the same,
Yeah.
but omit bar,
Yeah.
omit
I got
47.
that. Yes.
That's
And
what,
that motion failed. And so the only other alternative would be to just leave out reference to types of alcohol licenses, either type 41 or type 47 would be allowed, but eliminate reference to the bar. That's the only other.
but I do not want
variable.
I don't want 47 in there, Brian.
I know, I'm
because-
saying, I'm saying that's the only other alternative motion that can be made that hasn't been made.
Okay. Mrs. Ponce would like to talk. Rachel, could you please unmute yourself and speak? She's a resident. Rachel, unmute yourself. Ms. Ponce?
Yes,
Go ahead, Ms. Ponce.
You have to unmute yourself, Rachel.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I think that I think that the restaurant serving beer and wine is okay. I mean, we've gone through the whole thing of the alcohol. I oppose it having a bar. I live very close to this project. And I'm thinking, okay, if you have a bar, you have the restaurant and then you have the bar, which is going to serve mixed drinks, let's say. There'll be some people that come in just to hang out at the bar and listen to the music. And I don't think that that's a very good thing for such a residential area, which is surrounded by the residential area. And I think that if you just approve JJ's as it is now, a restaurant with beer and wine would work, even though I'm opposed to it, the historical part of it. I think that we should have saved that barn. But anyway, maybe if you guys think about that, and I have a question. If you approve JJ's as a restaurant selling beer and wine, if they apply to be able to sell mixed drinks, does that come before the planning commission, or is that just strictly between ABC and the restaurant owner?
Well, the ABC will require local zoning approval for any ABC license. And so the premise-to-premise transfer will require the same kind of affidavit, local zoning approval, evidence of use permit approval in this case, for beer and wine, premise-to-premise transfer. And then we will get another zoning affidavit request from ABC for the type 47 license. And if the commission, wants to restrict the type of license available for this use permit, then that's within your purview. And we would then, when we get that affidavit for type 47, we would not be able to sign it off under those circumstances. So in the circumstance where Chair Delgado's motion for restaurant with type 41 beer and wine, we would be able to sign off the ABC license affidavit for that, zoning affidavit for that. In the future, we would not be able to sign off a type 47, given the record of use permit before the commission this evening. So, really it's up to the planning commission. And I have to say that, we're talking about some furniture and chairs. If you allow beer and wine, alcohol, on-premise alcohol sales, with beer and wine, what is the difference between whether you're sitting in some chairs at a long table or whether you're sitting in the courtyard or whether you're sitting in the restaurant? You're still allowing on-site alcohol sales, beer and wine. And so whether there's a bar or not really doesn't have any effect on the use itself, if you're going to limit it to type 41.
Brian, let me speak on that. I don't want
consideration.
Brian, I don't want to deny 47 at the moment. I want to exclude it to allow them to apply later.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I was saying to exclude it. I didn't say deny it.
Okay.
And have them, I don't want to say yes to 41 and yes to 47. No, I'm going to do 41 and then they can do 47 in the future.
Oh, okay.
That's why I said omit.
So you want the applicants to come back for a new use permit for type 47?
Yeah, I don't want them to say no right now. I just want what's in front of me and what they have. I don't want to approve a 47 right
Okay.
now.
Okay, so the question that I have then, just logically speaking, if you approve a use permit for on-site alcohol sales with similar to what they have in their current establishment,
Yeah,
and you just simply don't call out reference to the bar, that the label disappears from the floor plan. It's a seating arrangement. It doesn't really matter because you've approved a use permit for on-site alcohol sales.
correct.
So it doesn't really matter where that consumption occurs inside the building or in the courtyard, whether it's at a bar or whether it's in the dining area.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter.
For a 41.
Yeah.
So let's have them not apply for a 47 right now and just do the 41 and apply for a restaurant so we can move forward. And that's all I wanted to change from the resolution.
Okay. So the motion would be to approve the use permit for on-site alcohol sales.
41.
Okay.
And then they could come back on a 47.
Limited to a type 41 permit, premise to premise transfer. And with reference to the floor plan indicating a bar, that would be a part of the approval.
Because it's a restaurant. Stop saying bar. It's a restaurant.
Well, there is a bar component. And we say, so restaurant with a bar component, that is in your resolution.
Okay, but that's not what it says, applicant, the resolution, and I get it, David, what you're saying, but when I see black and white, I was taught, what does it say, black and white?
Okay,
Not
black and
presume.
white, but yeah, black and white in your resolution, where you see in the resolution, it says, now therefore be it resolved. That is the action part of your resolution.
Yeah, it says,
It references restaurant with bar.
No, it does not. Then that's, I
Let me
see
read
black.
it- Let me read it to you, just so that it's clear. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approves a use permit to allow the establishment of a restaurant with bar and related on-site alcohol sales consumption at 205 the Alameda and Pierce. And
Yes.
then so on and so forth, subject to conditions. And so with your motion, what you would say is, now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approves a use permit to allow the establishment of a restaurant with bar and related on-site alcohol sales consumption limited to a type 41 permit.
Correct. Yes. I want, because where you have on that first one,
And
it
then
says,
subject to conditions and findings. Don't get confused by that.
no,
first
I
line.
do get confused because what does it say in black and white? The applicant, and that's what I was taught, black and white. If we're going to approve this, then that bar is a bar. And that's what I am saying on that. Whereas April 8th, 21, the applicant did what? A building permit of a bar. And that's the only thing I wanted to change from bar, because you said I could do what I choose, correct? Because we're the Planning Commission. Change that bar just to a restaurant and then exclude 47. They can come back in a year, 6 months, whatever. But for right now, let's just start with the 41. And I'm good with everything else.
Okay. All right. So just to be clear, the applicant's going to go away and they're going to want to rely on your motion and this decision when they submit their applications and we need to rely on your motion to secure the affidavit, zoning affidavit. So your motion would,
With addendums.
I would recommend that the commission avoid focusing on the floor plan label that says bar. I would just simply recommend that could, because it's a bar arrangement, it's an on-site alcohol consumption. It doesn't really matter where it occurs in the building or how.
Well,
And I would recommend that the commission not focus on that particular aspect of the floor plan, but because the zoning ordinance requires a use permit for a bar, and there is a bar component in this application, to be fair to the applicant and clear, my recommendation is that it's for a restaurant with a bar component.
with a 41.
And limited to type 41, yes. Just as I read to you in the now therefore be it resolved. And I'd be happy to read that again.
But I want to omit on the application. I don't want that application where they applied for a bar. That needs to be changed to, because I asked you, can I change it to just restaurant? And you said yes. And I'm deleting 47. And that's what I would approve now, a restaurant with alcoholic beverage of 41. Are we good with that?
Well, the applicant would have to take out reference to in anything further to a bar as part of his floor plan. And I guess that would solve that problem.
I don't understand why he would take out a bar. He's selling liquor, he's selling wine and beer.
Because your motion, the way you just said, would eliminate the bar.
No, because
Okay, so let me rephrase that then. The motion would be, Planning Commission of the City of San Juan Bautista approves a use permit to allow the establishment of a restaurant with bar and related on-site alcohol sales consumption limited to type 41 beer and wine.
there you go.
Located at 205 the Alameda, et cetera, et cetera.
So, yes, the omission, I am happy with that. But I want that in writing.
Okay, well, that would be your motion then. this
Okay.
evening. And would you like to affirm that is your motion for the purpose?
That is my motion. I
Okay.
want it changed in black and white. I want the addendums that you stated, that it's a restaurant with a bar and limited to a 41.
Okay, very good. That's the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Luis.
Trish, can you take a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Baines is absent. Commissioner Matchane,
Hold on, Trish. She gave a absentee vote.
No,
Do you know? Yes, she said, I wanted to ask you about the way, Jackie. Brian,
Vice,
What-
Yeah,
what Vice Chair, what is the Roberts rule of Baines is absent vote?
let me
can all
take a
do that.
second.
you can all,
Okay, Baines, let's hold off on Baines for last. Go to the next person.
Matchane,
Aye.
Commissioner Maderas,
I abstain.
Commissioner Morris Lopez.
I feel that this new resolution, I'm going to qualify why I'm casting my vote, is because once again, it is not clear. I don't like the process of putting something together in real time under the direction of staff, under duress. It's not fair to the applicant. It's not fair to the public. It's not fair to us as commissioners. Feel like we're held to the gun here tonight. It's a wrong process. And I believe strongly that Commissioner Baines, whoever steps out of a meeting prematurely, does not have,
Okay, let's,
okay? And I disagree with staff stating that it doesn't matter that it's furniture. It's not about furniture. There's a lot of other issues here that you're asking us to agree to with this conditional use permit. And I have to say no.
Chairman Maderas.
he abstained.
I'm sorry, Delgado. Chairperson Delgado.
Can I change that to a yes?
Certainly.
Sure.
Change to a yes.
All right. Chairperson Delgado.
Aye. Aye.
All members of the commission being present, the motion is stated by the maker passes 3-1-0-1 with Commissioner Morris Lopez voting no and Commissioner Baines absence.
Correct.
Thank you.
Brian, can we get together before you make the resolution so I can see that we're on the same page?
You
Please,
know, I'm going to give you the resolution to sign, and absolutely.
before you print it up, please.
It has to be done during the
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm available to meet with you.
Please.
I'm available, yes.
Okay. Commissioners, thank you all for this tedious work. We all want the best for the community, for San Juan Bautista. And that's why I read intensely and everybody does. And I thank you for being on the Planning Commission. And thank you, Luis, for helping out Zavalas. And Rachel, thank you for your input. Brian? Is there anything else you have to say?
No, I
You
appreciate.
haven't
your
asked me.
concentration.
I'm
You're
a
really-
planning commissioner.
I said, yeah, oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I said, what do you, how
Are
did you?
we in comments section?
That's where we're going.
Okay, I'm just.
Okay, so,
confused here.
yeah, we're done with the adoption. Now we're
Yeah.
on I'm going to I'm sorry, you're right, David, I went out of turn. Is there any commissioners that wish to speak? David, any comments?
Well, yeah, I want to commend the staff for putting this together. They worked hard. I want to commend the applicants for being patient with us tonight and the public as well. And I think we're moving forward, and that's the main thing. So thank you all for all your contribution and support, and of course, your input. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Matchane, any questions, comments, or concerns?
Well, no, I think I'm just tired of it's okay. I'm just, that's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Matchane. Commissioner Chair, Commissioner Morris Lopez.
Yes, I want to thank Mrs. Rachel Ponce who's been a lifelong resident of our little town, and I appreciate you speaking up. I know it's not always easy for our public to attend, but much less speak up on issues like this that are important. I'm very grateful that she did speak up because she does live very close to this project. And I personally feel that, you know, we really need to listen to our community members. Staff, you know, they have 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to delve into all of the nuances and the laws. And it's a very daunting task. We all sit here as volunteers. The public, you know, their comments come from feelings and many years on some instances of living here and growing up in the community and raising their children. And it's their best interest and at heart they have for this community, just like I do. I try to represent everybody fairly. And sometimes my comments that may seem to come across as an opposition are really for things to go back to the blackboard and done right. And I'm a stickler for process. And I have to say that we really need to, the public deserves a much better and better run meetings and respect amongst each other. And I really think that, you know, we can't just be willy-nilly. If an application was submitted in error, you know, staff is paid well enough to do their job and make the necessary corrections. I don't like sitting here as a commissioner while we're in real time processing resolutions that are spoon-fed to us by staff. I really abhor that. And I think that the next time we need to be better prepared and we need to respect the public and we need to present ourselves as such. And maybe that goes for me, but I'm speaking from the heart, and my votes are always taken to heart what's best for the community at large, because we all live here. And yes, we all have a right to develop our property, but guess what? It affects everybody around your property. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, for your input. Again, Ms. Ponce, thank you for your input. Brian, thank you for what you do, but a little bit more communication and going over the meetings before we have that, not the day of, but prior, like 3 days, 4 days. So we can, no face like that, Trish. Brian and I have asked him to go over the meetings prior to it comes, and the day of I can't meet it. So Brian and I can go over the flow of it. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as soon as you get the packet, Chair Delgado, please feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah.
At your convenience.
Yeah.
I'm always try hard to be available.
Yeah. Tuesdays is not good for me in the day. I have to pick up the boys, but thank you. With that, is there?
Let me just say that I have never had any problems reaching out to our staff. And every time I do so, they spend well enough time making sure that I understand clearly what's going on. But I do want to say thank you to the people who, I asked twice for Publix, even though it was closed and open, but I asked for it to be open again. And we did get somebody from the public, and that was great. Thank you again.
Okay. Okay, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Okay, can we take a roll call or just an aye vote?
All in favor?
Yeah. Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.